gather as a church, what exactly do we gather for? As a people who are saved, as a people who understand that our call, we have been called by one, we are called out ones, ecclesia. What exactly do we gather for? Let me quickly say to you that the church is a center place for teaching. It is a center place for teaching. Now, before I give you a couple of passages, let me say to you 5 key things that you need to know about a community, and in this instance, a community of saved ones. 5 things that happen when we gather as a church, when we meet and we are part of the church. And this in itself will help you understand a couple of things. Number 1, growth happens best in a community. I hope you're taking your notes. Growth happens best in a community. It simply means that you cannot grow without the support, the influence of another. And this in itself already nullifies the fact that you can sit in your house and worship God. It means that there is a part of your growth that will not be chiseled, because as iron sharpeneth iron, Proverbs tells us, so does a man sharpen the countenance of his friend. It is important for you to be a part of a community. There are some things that cannot happen only by observation, only by association, not just the teaching component of the church. You must realize that being a part of the church is an opportunity for growth, because you are meeting people, you are connecting with people. Number 2, the community you are part of provides feedback and support. And that feedback and support is what actually fuels growth. So in the case of a church, for instance, you feel weak in prayers. You feel that what people consider their prayer life is not up to standard. Your church has activities where you meet on a particular day, for instance, and people just meet up to pray. Whether you are meeting alone or you're meeting with 2 other persons or the entire church, for some people, the opportunity to pray is an opportunity to awaken your consciousness about prayer. That cannot happen when you are in isolation, because the church and the community you're part of provides feedback and support. And that feedback and support, they are essential for your progress. And progress brings excitement, and excitement keeps you energized. Imagine that you've been struggling to pray for 30 minutes. Then you start hanging around people who are praying for an hour, who are praying for 2 hours, 5 hours. Not that they are jobless. That's just a routine that they indulge in. Imagine that you're struggling to have a disciplined time to study, and you're a part of a community. That in itself brings energy. That you could find out that I studied for 1 hour. Wow, I'm beginning to understand the scriptures. It makes a whole lot of sense to you. So that community provides feedback. Feedback is not necessarily that somebody said to you, you're not praying. But when you are in that environment, you just gauge yourself. You just know that, oh, I'm not doing it accurately. And by praying or studying with these people, I find out that I need to do this better. Number 3, to enjoy the benefits of a community, you need to be vulnerable. Oh, I can spend the whole teaching time talking about this, because sometimes, based on our past experiences, and some of you listening, you may have been hurt by church. You may have shared your personal experience, and the people there, never forget, are all maturing like you. And because of your vulnerability, it was probably used against you. And that would be the probable reason why you are saying, I just want to isolate myself away from the church. No, the church in itself requires vulnerability. When Jesus was crucified, who is the founder and the head of the church, he was exposed, he was revealed, his garment, his precious clothes were taken away from him. You cannot be a part of the church and not consider vulnerability. Now, I'm not saying go tell everybody things and say things to people, but I'm saying to you that you must appreciate the fact that vulnerability is essential in the church. And I hear someone probably listening right now say, man, I don't want to be part of a church where somebody will tell my story. No, it's a family. It's called that once. It means when we deal with an issue, it stays within our ramifications. It stays within our perimeters. It stays within our boundaries. That's how it ought to be. So you're wondering, so why did they take my issue? Hold on. When we come to the 6 factors for considering a local church, you will find out what probably went wrong. Number 4, community reaffirms identity. Sometimes it's easy for you to just lounge and linger with people who don't share the values that you share. But by being a part of a community, you are reminded of whose you are, of who you are, of the people you have identified with, which are the called out and the saved ones. Never forget it, that if you want to do something or you want to foster a value system, find yourself around the community. And this is not just only about the church. Anywhere, if you want to master something, stay with the community. Number 5, community helps us to adapt to established cultures. They help to confirm our value system. Think about that for a moment. There are cultures you may be struggling to adjust into, to adapt into. But by being a part of a community, it just helps you to integrate better. It brings me to the point that the church is for character formation. Oh, let me say this to you. Paul said to Timothy in 1 Timothy chapter 3 from verse 14. He says, "These things write I unto thee." Now, the preceding verse, he has told them about how to select a leader in the church. Then he says, "These things write I unto thee, hoping to come unto thee shortly." He says, verse 15, "But if I tarry long, that thou mayest know how thou oughtest to behave thyself in the house of God, which is the church of the living God, the pillar and ground of truth." Listen, he says, how thou ought to behave yourself. The word is anastrepho. It means by implication how to overturn, to return, how to remain, how to behave, how to live, how to have a conversation. It tells you that without the benefit of a local church, you are most likely not in conduct or not in the right way to live. The church teaches you how to live. One of the core duties of the church is character formation. If you're not part of the church, you're not learning character. You see, sometimes as a consultant in business, I discover many times that people don't know the benefit of even serving in the local church. You're learning time management, you're learning principles of adaptability, you're learning flexibility. Those are soft skills that are not gotten anywhere. The fruit of the spirit includes a competency in you that cannot be found anywhere. That in itself is character formation. Character formation. He says, "I'm writing to you." So the manual for the church is the word of God. He says, "I am writing to you that you may know how to behave." It simply means that every time you encounter the church premises, every time you're part of a community, remember that you are learning how to behave. This requires humility. This requires submission. You cannot be taught how to live on your own terms. The Bible teaches you how to live because it is the manual for your life. It says, "Thou may know how to behave yourself in the house of God." Now, somebody may say it may be hypocritical that you behave in the church in a particular way and out of the church. No, if you master it this way, it becomes how your life generally will govern. The way you operate in church, the attitude you have towards church services, being punctual, being prompt, will be the way you would like to adopt in your life, your business, your career. It's teaching you how to live. So you can see that if you are probably someone who attends services late and you don't go to church promptly, most likely other areas of your life you will not give due diligence to it. Because how you ought to behave, especially in the house of God, you've not paid attention to it. And this is very significant. Let's look at Matthew 18, verse 17. Jesus said, "And if you feel," because he was speaking about somebody who was angry with his brother. He says, "Moreover, if thy brethren or their brother," verse 15 of Matthew 18, "trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear, thou hast gained thy brother. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established." Verse 17 says, "And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church. If he neglects to hear the church, let him be unto thee a hidden man and a publican." What Jesus was saying is that the church is the final bus stop for amending every
misconduct. If there is a problem, the church ought to be the bus stop. If your brother could not have a conversation with you because there was a fault, a conversation that didn't go well between both of you, the church has an authority. So when the person refuses to hear the church, he has also said he's not a part of the church. He has not understood who has instituted the church. He has not understood who is the community of the saved ones in the church. I hope you're following. If you see all of that too, you see in 1 Corinthians 6, when Paul began to when he began to advocate in all of 1 Corinthians 6, he was saying to them, dare any of you having a matter against another, go to God before the unjust and not before the saints? Do you not know that the saints shall judge the world, and the world will be judged by you, and you are worthy to judge the smallest matter? By the way, you should know that the saints, as established in the previous passage or in the previous episode, was that the saint refers to the church, the people who become the church. The saint is not someone who has to live for 5,000 years after death to be canonized, to be put a title. You are a saint right now because you are saved by Jesus. So with that, Paul begins to tell them that matters arising in the church can be resolved in the church. That's how powerful the church is. It's a place for character formation. It's a place where we teach. It's a place where we institute ourselves and we go on and on. That's because we are building ourselves into a community. In the next video, I will tell you what are the probable factors people consider when choosing a church. There are about 8 of them, and you will be amazed that you are probably choosing a church based on that factor, or maybe all of those factors